The gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Goodlatte, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, you've made several references to responding to requests from this committee, including requests in writing, in a timely fashion. You last appeared before this committee on October 26th of last year, and following that hearing, as required by the rules of the committee, a number of questions were submitted to the committee and transmitted to you in a timely fashion. And the answers to those questions rolled in at 11:26 p.m. last night. Do you regard that 9-month time period to answer questions as being timely?
Representative, obviously not, although it is before this hearing.
What good is that to us at 11:26 p.m. last night? That's supposed to help the members of the committee prepare for this hearing?
If I might, Representative, I would need to go back. Sometimes we're asked, we have responded, and committee members don't, for whatever reason, don't get the response, and as they prepare for hearings, their staff asks us for new copies of that. I would need to look into that. In addition, I would like to remind the committee, and this, we try to be timely, but we have well over 100 committees and subcommittees that are submitting questions to us. And
your statement today that you answer these in a timely fashion is not rebutted by your failure to answer the questions until 9 months after the last hearing,
again,
and just a few hours before this hearing?
Again, Representative.
Well, let me go on to a question.
Well, you made a statement.
No, Madam Secretary, we've asked and answered that question.
Mr. Chairman, may I get an opportunity to answer the question?
You've already answered it once.
Can we have regular order, Chairman?
I would definitely like regular order.
Representative, I just wanted to clear up what I said was that we often are in the situation where we are resending answers to questions that were sent well before as staff prepare for hearings. If that didn't happen here—
That is not the case here, Madam Secretary.
Well, if that's what you want us to look into, I'd be happy to look into it.
We want you to answer the questions in a timely manner. That's what we want.
Fair enough.
In your testimony, you state that Homeland Security begins with hometown security, and that you have worked to get information, tools, and resources into the hands of state, local, tribal, and territorial officials. How does canceling your 287G agreements in Arizona and refusing to enter into them in my state of Virginia aid hometown security? When you take that resource away from local law enforcement, can you really claim that you are working to help hometown security?
Absolutely. The 287G agreements that are task force, not in the jails, which are very productive, but the task forces, the ones you refer to, are remarkably unproductive and very expensive. Of the 6 of the 7 Arizona agreements we had on the task forces, they had produced 0 removals in 2 years. The only one that was doing anything was the Department of Public Safety, and we already have a task force with them. They were fine with our cancellation. It costs us per removal on a 287G almost 10 times as much through secure communities or through the 287G jail model. We're moving to the more efficient models.
I would like to know why it is that you will not utilize local law enforcement to apprehend individuals that are illegally in the United States and then promptly move to remove them from this country. That is not what is happening in Virginia, I can assure you. It is absolutely not what is happening.
If I might, Representative, one of the things we have done to replace those ineffective 287G task forces is the great expansion of secure communities in the jails themselves, the program where we refer fingerprints both to the criminal database and to the immigration database. And you will see that our ability to apprehend and remove criminals from the country has actually gone up dramatically because of that.
Madam Secretary, does this mean your criticism of 287G and your cost analysis, does this mean that you will remove from the Department of Homeland Security's website the section that refers to 287G success stories?
You know, there may be some success stories, but when you look at the numbers—
Why are you touting them if they're success stories in a program that you think is otherwise flawed?
I would tell the people who are working the website, take it down.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. The program is expensive, and it doesn't work the way Congress intended.
According to the GAO, over time, Federal surveys have consistently found that the Department of Homeland Security employees are less satisfied with their jobs than the government-wide average. Out of 240 components ranked by the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey throughout the government, ICE ranked 222, FEMA ranked 231, TSA ranked 232, and a category collectively called All Other Components ranked 224. You have a serious morale problem that has only gotten worse since you have taken over. I think you would agree that low morale in these positions has a potential to impact how effectively these public servants do their job. What is the cause of this morale problem? Are there any morale problems due to the policies implemented by this administration that prevent agents from doing their jobs? And what are you doing to address these serious morale problems?
Yes, the morale issue is one that I'm quite concerned about. We want our employees good morale, they're effective, they're well-trained. We have looked into those numbers. We have determined that one of the real sources was that our first-line or mid-level supervisors were promoted without training on how to actually be a supervisor. That caused a lot of discontent. There are other reasons as well. I meet regularly now, Representative, with our component heads and have directed them, in turn, to take all action necessary to do what we must to try to bring that morale up. We also brought in some experts from OPM to help us and other places, and we've looked at other departments that were able to go from low to high, and techniques or things that they did from a management standpoint, and we intend to deploy those as well.
Mr. Chairman, my time has expired. I do have additional questions, which I will submit to the Chairman in writing, and I'm sure he will submit them to you. And Madam Secretary, I hope you will answer them in a real timely fashion, not 9 months after we submitted them like the last time.
Thank you.
I understand your point.
Thank you, Mr. Goodlatte. Madam Secretary, what do you consider to be timely? 30 days, 2 weeks?
Some it's 30, some it's 60. It depends on the question. Some requires multiple departments. Some requires new sorts of information that we haven't collected before.
60 at the outset if multiple departments would be involved in the response?
I would commit that we will aim to 60, yes.
And shorter time for...
And if we have to have more, we'll tell you why.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Secretary.